This is where the gaslighting gets really good.
My nickname around these parts is Dead Weight.
I hadn't been considering scissoring.
I'm prepared to travel in time.
We were deep into an Adam Sandler rabbit hole in this podcast. How did that happen? A lifetime of Hallmark.
Well, hello, everybody. It's your favorite day of the week. It's time for another episode of A Lifetime of Hallmark, where we talk about movies on Lifetime and the Hallmark Channel and try to make sense of them. I am Les Kirkendall Barrett. Hello, Jason Bowers.
Hello, Les Kirkendall Barrett.
And hello, Kurt Fitzpatrick.
Hello, Les Kirkendall Barrett, and hello, Jason Bowers.
Our opening has changed a little bit.
Yeah, I thought I'd switch it up. We're still in the first month of 2021. I figured I had time to swap it out.
I like it. It sounds good.
Good, thanks.
Has a line about me I hadn't considered scissoring?
Yes.
I remember you said that.
It's like a slice of life from our podcast.
Yes, definitely. Highlight.
Well, yeah, we're here. It's 2021. I am already feeling better than 2020. Things are looking up.
That's
and how are you guys doing?
I'm hanging in there, yeah.
Well, you know what? Why don't does anybody have any Blac Chyna news?
Doing a piece of China.
China.
I'm talking China.
The Blac Chyna Report. Here's Kurt Fitzpatrick.
Wow, new Blac Chyna intro too.
Well, so the new intros were prompted by the I wanted to get rid of the Blac Chyna intro because I didn't want to hear that guy's voice anymore. So I was like, well, I'm doing this one. I'll do the other one too.
Yeah,
Right? I like it. They were good intros, though.
Oh, thanks. Here, let me play it again.
Doing a piece of China.
China.
I'm talking China.
The Blac Chyna Report. Here's Kurt Fitzpatrick.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I did a search on Blac Chyna and there just wasn't any news today. But luckily, I just watched the most recent episode of The Real Blac Chyna.
What did you think?
I thought, so this is my news report. It's going to be on this episode that I watched. Well, I never really saw Blac Chyna in action before. And, it starts out, Tokyo Tony is having a big argument with Blac Chyna's best friend, Treasure. Her name is Treasure.
Yes.
We never came across, I never read about her in the report. So it's good that I have this new, this new viewing of The Real Blac Chyna. Yeah, have you watched this, Les? You saw this episode?
Yes, because I only saw the part where Tokyo Tony and Treasure were having a discussion in the park, and Ashton was like refereeing.
Yeah, they have a big fight, and then Tokyo Tony talks to her friend Benji, who's a family friend, and Benji seems to be wearing a potato sack and boots, like knee-high boots. So he's kind of like. He has like showing some shoulders. He's an interesting looking person, and she's talking about how when she had a fight with a Blac Chyna, and she threw a flip flop at her, and then threw like a vase and some other stuff, and this went on. Then Blac Chyna is Blac Chyna is like the most normal person on the show. She is opening. She has a location. She has a brick and mortar store in Los Angeles.
Oh,
Where?
She's doing. I don't know. It's called Latched. Oh, but I think they're opening it on the show.
Okay.
Because I need to go there tomorrow.
It's probably right near where I live. That's where a lot of the boutiques are.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
But anyway, Tokyo Tony gets Blac Chyna to agree to meet with her in a restaurant. They meet in a restaurant. Cameras are there, obviously. And this is so that, because they don't want a big scene. They don't want anything screaming or flip-flop throwing or anything like that. And Tony just goes on this monologue and she starts crying. I'd like to write down this monologue and perform this when I get to go on auditions again, for like Shakespeare roles and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Blac Chyna just sits there. She's like, yeah. And Tokyo Tony accuses Blac Chyna. She says she's mean. Blac Chyna is mean to her employees.
Les, who are you texting? We can hear you.
For a Toyota Maxima.
What are you doing? Aren't you paying
Oh,
attention?
I was gonna Google lashed and see if I could find it.
Doing research.
I think because
company time. Okay. So anyway, Blac Chyna. No, it's okay. You can do it. So then they start. What's really funny is Blac Chyna and Tokyo Tony. They start like kind of arguing with the camera people. They start talking to the camera people. Like, did you hear me say that? Did you hear me say that? I didn't say that.
Les, if you're going to text during the show, you need to at least mute your phone.
It's that way? You can hear it that
Yes,
much?
I can hear the clicking. I can hear the whoosh sound when you send it.
Oh, sorry. Well, I've already found it though. Lash is in the valley. It's in Encino.
Okay.
So it's for the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not mad. I was just like, he knows we can hear this, right?
So that's what I got, man. This is a true report that I did. The real Blac Chyna on WeTV. And you know what's interesting? At the very end of the show, they show the Zeus. It says Zeus. Remember there was TV? So Zeus must be a producer.
Yeah, they probably own part of it. Well, they also might have, WeTV may have gotten rights to the old episodes as well.
Right.
Oh, maybe it was an old episode.
Yeah. Maybe it's like Cobra Kai, how it moved from YouTube TV to Netflix. This moved from Zeus TV to WeTV.
Yeah, well.
I got to tell you, it's actually not a bad show. Like, it's not horrible.
Well, I just find the people, the supporting cast of the show, I'm trying to figure out who they are, because like who they are gender-wise, who they are in just terms, like these outfits are things I've never seen before, like the guys wearing a potato sack or burlap sack, or I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's towel wrapped around himself. I mean, I appreciate their confidence.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really an interesting group of people.
Yeah, it's on my instant DVR list. So it DVRs automatically every week.
Do you think you're going to watch it regularly, Kurt?
Well, it's interesting because I just got this this Philo TV, and I never had a DVR before, and I don't think I can see.
You have a DVR?
I have it on this Philo TV.
Mm-hmm.
So now
my God!
I finally have DVR. Yeah, for those of you at home, I would have to watch many of these movies in real time, like a Hallmark movie when it's actually airing. But now I have a Philo TV, and I can actually DVR things. But I don't think you have the option of DVRing one episode. You have to DVR the whole thing whenever it comes on.
Oh, really?
I think.
Crazy.
Oh, really?
I'm trying to figure this out. It's just it's saved. So I think whenever we'll see.
Because I have Sling TV, and they give you the option. They're like, it's like, do you want to record the whole series, or do you just want to record this episode?
Yeah, and I have AT&T now, same thing. Although AT&T didn't record this week's movie, even though I set it to record it. Thankfully, it was on the Lifetime app.
I ended up watching this movie live.
Ooh.
Oh, before we go into the movie, I have a Squibb report.
And now, it's Squibster with Les Kirkendall Barrett.
It's a minor Squibb report, but it's very important to us. So yesterday, I actually posted something on Facebook about something, and one of our friends, he's a friend of mine and actually a friend of Kurt's too.
Yeah.
Commented on what I posted and then put, by the way, I need to tell you about the time I did regional theater with June Squibb.
Yeah. I want to know about this.
So A, he listens to our podcast.
What's his name?
Peter.
Peter, we want you on the show. We want the full scoop on Squibb.
And Peter would be good. Peter would be good on the show too.
Peter's great.
Yeah, Peter's funny. But this just means that so far then I am June Squibb adjacent with two different people.
Yeah. So make it happen, Les. Why isn't June Squibb herself on this show?
I have a feeling, though, that we may end up meeting June Squibb or talking to June Squibb just from the law of averages. Just from the law of averages. Two different people in two entirely different portions of my life know June Squibb.
Wow, this is like spreading like crazy. We're going to need a vaccine against the June Squibb because
No. I want June Squibb herb immunity. Bring it on.
Well, good.
Yeah, so there you go. I have a feeling 2021 is going to be our year that we end up chatting with June Louise Squibb.
Well, we just heard sad news that Cloris Leachman passed away.
I'm so bummed.
I know.
About that. So bummed.
Phyllis Lindstrom.
Yeah,
and I remember a TV critic when she was on The Facts of Life. They wrote from last picture show to worst television show.
Aww.
And I disagree with that. It's me.
How dare they criticize 2D's show?
Yeah. I was reading the obituary. I don't know if it was from Hollywood Reporter or one of them, but like they buried the fact that she was on Facts of Life in her obituary. Like they get to it eventually, but they talked about like 20 different credits before they got to a series that she was on for 3 full years.
Right.
Was it that long?
Yeah.
Right.
That show was on for that show was on for like 10 years.
Yeah.
I think it was
like they literally grew up on the show.
Yeah.
Those girls.
And you know what they did? They took the good and the bad. It took them both. There you have it. Facts of Life.
Both, and there you have.
Did you see 2D when she made a cameo appearance on Cobra Kai?
Yes.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Anywho, yes, rest in peace, Cloris Leachman.
Yeah.
Betty White is like, at the end of the day, Betty White is still going.
You know,
Is there anybody else?
a few years ago, I went to a taping of Hot in Cleveland that I was able to get in because I knew somebody that worked for the producing studio, because it was an episode where they were doing a Mary Tyler Moore reunion. So, you know, Betty White's on Hot in Cleveland. And then so Mary Tyler Moore was in the episode, as was Valerie Harper, as was Cloris Leachman, as was Georgia Engel. And it's like Betty and Georgia, the last two standing.
Right.
Is
Right.
Gavin McLeod still alive?
No, he died many years ago. It was I said, yeah, it was like the ladies and Mary Tyler Moore were on the episode.
Oh, because I think it's Georgette, Betty White, and Ed Asner are the last three.
Oh, and
Yeah.
Asner's still alive. Yeah.
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 Also on Cobra Kai.
You are wrong. Gavin McLeod is 89. He's still alive. Go,
Wait,
Gavin.
Captain Merrill Stubing is still alive?
Oh.
Yes, he is. 89
Okay.
years old.
You know, I think we actually had this conversation on the podcast before. I think I was wrong last time, too.
Captain Merrill Stubing is still alive. That's good news.
We did, because we talked about the episode where he slaps Julie, or he slapped he slapped his daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah, he slaps Vicky in the face in one of the episodes because he was drinking. I've talked before, but we haven't talked about it in 2021 yet.
Right.
He catches Vicky. Somebody gives her a bottle of wine, and she's like, this son gave me a bottle of wine. And he slaps her in the face. I don't.
Wow. Jason, you froze for a second.
I am here. And I have you guys, so we're good.
But yeah, if he would have slapped Julie, that would have been #MeToo would have been ahead of its time.
Well, when we talked about this before, I made that mistake then as well. I said he slapped Julie in the face. So I keep making it.
Yeah, it would have been called Julie's Love Boat if he slapped her in the face.
No.
Anyway, well, let's get into this movie.
Yeah.
I guess, what is this considered, like a ripped from the headlines?
This would be this is a straight up biopic. This, because the rip from the headlines is like they take a big scandalous story and they use it as a framework, but they'll change character names and whatnot. This was a straight up biopic. It had a legit director too.
And I think that this is a new universe for Lifetime because there are a lot of biopics. I think there's like a biopic a week.
Yeah, maybe they realized after they did that, they showed that Olivia Newton-John one, that there was an appetite for it. It wasn't being served.
Salt-N-Pepa this week, Wendy Williams is next week, and then there's another one in a couple of weeks. So I think it's like a new universe for them.
I think there's a Whitney Houston one.
Yeah, that's in 3 weeks. Whitney Houston.
They do a Whitney one. There was a Whitney one on TV a few years back. I think it was Lifetime. It was not good.
Yeah, this is a brand one. A Whitney Houston one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might not have been it might have been it was a TV movie, nearly certain it was for Lifetime, and nearly certain it was heavily implied in the movie that Whitney got Bobby into drugs, not the other way around.
I saw that.
Yeah. You guys cut out again. Hello?
But yeah, it's so
hello. Okay, there you are. All right. Yeah, I can hear you now. It keeps cutting out. I had said that Whitney got Bobby into drugs, not the other way around.
Oh, yeah, I saw that one. But this is a new one. And the funny thing that I noticed too is their biopics are all Black lady singer biopics because they're going to do one about Mahalia Jackson as well.
Yeah.
Who's that?
I saw the promo for that.
She was a singer. A gospel singer from the 60s. She was heavily involved in the civil rights movement. She was the precursor to Aretha Franklin. And she's going to be played by one of the women. Oh, she's going to be played by the woman who played Tasty on Orange is the New Black.
Oh, yeah. See, I recognized her. I wasn't sure where I remembered her from. Yeah.
So I guess that's a new Lifetime universe, the Black lady singer or entertainer biopic.
Okay.
Works for me. This was good.
Yeah. Well,
Mary Van Peebles. They got Mary Van Peebles directing.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Let's get into this. Shoot Badoo.
Yeah, we haven't even said what the movie is yet.
It is Salt-N-Pepa.
Yeah.
Salt-N-Pepa.
On Lifetime.
Salt-N-Pepa on Lifetime. So we start out. It's 2005, and we see Salt in a limo, and we see Peppa in a different limo. And Peppa seems a little hesitant. Like, the person who's in the limo with her is like, "Are you okay?" And she was like a little nervous. So then we hear Queen Latifah on stage making an announcement, and then Queen Latifah announces them and brings them both on stage, and then we go back to 1985 in Queens.
Now, did you hear them say that they hadn't seen each other in like years, but they were just
10 years.
But they were just showing up to do a performance all of a sudden?
That made no sense for a couple reasons. The biggest being that if you're doing a performance on the VH1 Hip Hop Honors, you're getting together to rehearse that thing. You're not just showing up and knowing your marks for the cameras.
Right.
I thought that was odd. I also thought they said they hadn't seen each other in 10 years, but going off of the timeline that is laid out in the movie, it's only 6 years between when they last saw each other and when the VH1 Hip Hop Honors took place.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
So
the rehearsing things will bother me. I was like, yeah, it's very dramatic for the movie, but come on.
Yeah.
Even if they've done that performance many times, you'd have to get together and rehearse that.
And I like the way that Peppa was dressed because she had a hat and big glasses, but it was at night. So we go back to 1985, and we see we see Pepa, otherwise known as Sandy. Sandy's her government name. And we see Sandy going to college. She's going to school. She's in the quad. She meets Cheryl. Who is Salt. But this is pre before they were Salt-N-Pepa. And so Cheryl is handing out these job applications because she worked at Sears in the telemarketing room. And I guess they had this thing going that you get $1 for every application that you handed out. And so her goal was to hand out 1,000 applications. So she literally was handing out applications to everybody in the quad. Mm-hmm. And so Pepa took one, and they just became like instant friends. So, then Cheryl is talking to her boyfriend. Her boyfriend wants to make a rap. Her boyfriend's like a up and coming producer, but like they're doing the recording like in his house.
Well, he also said that he wanted to enlist her to rap with him because he wants to be the Ashford and Simpson of rap.
Solid as a rock.
Yeah.
Big hit at that.
Right.
Well, they were huge songwriters too at the time.
Okay.
Yeah. And so because didn't they write like "Reach Out and Touch Somebody's Hand"? The Diana Ross. They
Probably,
wrote a
yeah.
lot.
They were like kind of what you see a lot of today, where like an artist will write a bunch of hits for other people and then they get their own shot.
Right. So they rap, and then Herbie's like, "Wait a minute, I have an idea. Why don't I have a group with 2 women rapping?" And so then we cut to their telemarketing job, which actually I wouldn't have minded working there. So it's like their telemarketing job. It's Sandy's first day on the job. The boss introduces her to Cheryl. Cheryl's on a call, but the boss walks away. And then Cheryl's like, "Oh no, I calls. I don't really make calls." Mm-hmm. And so in this telemarketing room, it was Martin Lawrence,
Yeah.
Kid and Play. Yeah. And I was like, that was a fun job.
Yeah, they all work together. Isn't that funny? Like, I had no idea. I'd never heard that before.
You know who Kid and Play is, right?
I love House Party. I saw that movie when I was in high school. I went to see House Party, and I was amazed. I love it.
Yeah. So I love the fact that they all worked in this telemarketing room, and then Martin would just like tell jokes.
Yeah, he would like hold court in the center of the room and just start spitballing ideas.
Yeah.
I wrote down that it was sort of like a 90s pre-90s Mickey Mouse Club, because remember how like from the Mickey Mouse Club you had like Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake and Christina Aguilera and Carrie Russell and Ryan Gosling were all in Mickey Mouse Club together.
Yeah.
The Sears room, the Sears customer service room, was the Mouse Club of its day.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if they had to find an actor. I wonder if they found an actor with the hair, like the Kid and Play hair. Kid.
Oh, that was a wig.
Oh, that was definitely a wig. Yeah.
Then we find out that like Sandy's, kind of Cheryl. Cheryl is kind of religious and kind of uptight. And Sandy is like the opposite. Sandy's like a hellcat. She's wild and she loves to have fun. So like,
would you say that Cheryl is Hallmark Channel and Sandy is Lifetime?
Exactly. And one step further, Sandy, like Cheryl would be like Lacey Chabert, and then Sandy would be like one of Lifetime Channel villains.
Oh,
she's that extreme.
Speaking of Lacey, we didn't even get to Kurt right before the podcast started. Kurt said that he walked in and his dad was watching a Lacey Chabert movie.
Yes, Kurt, tell us about this.
What was he watching?
I don't know what happened. I thought maybe I was having a fever dream or something. And I didn't ask what was going on. Maybe I'll ask.
You didn't recognize it as something you had seen already?
No, I don't think it's something I'd seen. I'm at my parents' house right now, so my mom might knock on the door. Last time I was doing a podcast in my room. After the podcast, I came out and she said, "Sounds like you were in there talking to yourself for 2 hours." No, it's a podcast. But no, I had on, I think, like a Hallmark, like mysteries or something.
Oh,
but it was a straight Hallmark. But it was a straight Hallmark movie with Lacey Chabert. He had it on.
I think
that means he was.
She has like a recurring movie series on Hallmark Movies and Mysteries. I think it involves crossword puzzles.
Yes, it's the crossword puzzle mysteries.
I did hear something about crossword. Yeah, that's what it was. That's what he was watching.
Your dad was watching the crossword puzzle mysteries.
He usually only watches the Shawshank Redemption and that Kevin Costner movie, Open Range. So now he's got 3. He might listen to this podcast. I couldn't imagine, but he doesn't. I don't think he has email. So he doesn't really listen to podcasts. But maybe he'll start.
Maybe he'll start. Maybe he'll start. Okay. So Sandy's trying to make Cheryl more fun. So Sandy takes her to like a male strip show. Mm-hmm. And the stripper like brings Sandy on stage, and Sandy, is like, woo. So then we find out that Salt-N-Pepa actually was going to school to be a therapist.
Yeah.
And I liked her car because they got into her car and her car had a big hole in the floor. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so you could see the road.
Like the Flintstones.
Yeah.
So then, of course, this being a Lifetime or a Hallmark movie, they talked about the trope, which is we find out that Sandy's dad had passed away.
I see dead people.
And then it gets a little deep.
Oh, yeah.
Because then we find out that Sandy was a cutter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, wow.
Nice.
And so
there were a couple heavy issues that they've really glossed over. That was one of them. They allude to, or they have a scene later in the movie too where she almost does. And then they also they kind of heavily allude to the fact that that Cheryl had an eating disorder, but they don't really come out and say it or talk about it.
Right.
They showed it. Yeah. They showed it, but they didn't talk about it.
Right.
And then later because there was did you guys watch the documentary after?
I did not.
No.
The documentary after, Cheryl talked about how she had she'd been bulimic for a decade or something crazy like that. So, so that was right on. It was right, there was right information with that.
Yeah.
Okay. So then they're in the studio, but the studio is actually Herbie's mother's basement.
Yeah.
And I love the part they're rapping and the mom is dancing and having a good time.
That's where I'm recording right now. So
in Herbie's studio.
And then I wrote here
in your basement.
And then I'm trying to remember what Herbie did, but I wrote Herbie was a dick.
Well, did you see Herbie in the Thriller jacket when he's working at Sears?
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's weird. Herbie's listed as a producer of this movie, and it doesn't put him in the best light.
No, it doesn't at all. I guess you've got to be pretty evolved then to
What I bet what happened is they said, hey, dude, we're doing this story whether you like it or not. If you want to make some money off the fact that we're doing it, then take the producer credit and leave us alone.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably, because I was like, he did not come off. That's interesting that he was a producer because he did not come off well at all. But then Sandy establishes early on that Sandy is not putting up with shit from anybody.
Yeah.
So then they cut back to the telemarketing room and like Martin's doing a set in the middle of the room again. That must have been like the funnest day job.
He's getting his 1,000 hours in, like Malcolm Gladwell, 1,000 hours. He gets 1,000 hours stand.
So then this part cracked me up too because, at the beginning of the movie when they first went into this telemarketing room, Cheryl established that she faked doing this job. Well, the boss comes in, and so she's like, Sandy, Cheryl, I need to speak with you for a second. So you think, they got caught faking this job. Well, the boss calls them in and gives them a raise.
Yeah. They got $2 an hour, which is a big raise even now, but especially in 1985, that's a huge raise.
Yeah.
They should have stuck with that.
Yeah.
Well, 6 weeks later, they're driving down the street, and all of a sudden, they hear their song on the radio. And so they do the obligatory, oh my God, it's our song. The car in the middle of the street and dance in the middle of the street. So that's what they did.
Car that has a hole in the floor. Because if I danced on my car, I'd crash through it.
Yeah. I will say, any movie that features musicians, when they have that moment where they hear their song on the radio, it gets me every time. One of my favorite movie scenes of all time is in That Thing You Do, when they hear the song on the radio and they're all like running down the street and they're jumping up and down and they go in the appliance. Like, I love that scene.
That scene makes me cry on That Thing You Do.
Yeah.
It makes me cry every time.
I got to admit, the first time I heard our podcast on my computer, I jumped up on the car.
And Kurt doesn't even own a car. It was somebody else's, and they were not happy.
It was. Yeah, that car was much sturdier than mine. Now, do you guys remember when this song came out? The Showstopper song?
I don't.
No.
Because I do. I used to listen to. They could have cut to a young Kurt Fitzpatrick sitting in his room in 1985, and I was listening to Lady B Street Beat on Power 99 FM, and they'd always play like the new rap music on Sunday afternoon. And it was before like rap wasn't quite mainstream, and I remember hearing that song when it first came out. And they were super nature. Salt-N-Pepa, they were super nature at that time.
Well, Supernature didn't get paid for that song.
Yeah, because where I grew up in even though I wasn't far from Philadelphia, we could like hear their stations. I didn't really listen to them because they were like a little bit out of reception area. So in Allentown, we didn't have a black music station. We didn't, it was like the top 40 station, and they might play a couple of songs, but not a lot.
But yeah, we find out that they got ripped off, like they didn't get paid.
Yeah, but they used
which happens more than you think.
They made that whole song around that Revenge of the Nerds song, and I don't think the Revenge of the Nerds people got paid either.
Right.
Who was getting paid on that?
The record company, probably.
Wait, did they take a? I don't know what you're talking about. They made a song built on a song from Revenge of the Nerds.
You remember the part of Revenge of the Nerds when they have a big talent show and they're all like musicians?
Vaguely.
Yes, vaguely.
There's a scene where they're all playing, and the song is like that's the song of Revenge of the Nerds.
And then Lamar raps. I remember that.
Yeah. Okay. So they took that music, or they recreated that same music for this Supernature Salt-N-Pepa song.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then back when you could sample and kind of get away with it.
I think you could, yeah. I believe there was a lawsuit that kind of put an end to that, which may have involved De La Soul. I could be wrong, but I think it did.
Yeah, because there was a time that you could sample and kind of get away, not all the time, but every now and then. People were getting away with it.
Yep.
So then Herbie brought in Spinderella. And I never knew that there was more than one Spinderella.
I know. It's like
And so the song Push It, I love the fact that the song Push It was recorded in a bathroom.
Yeah, that's true. I had never thought about that.
I actually hadn't made that connection yet. Oh, that's hilarious. I like later in the movie, someone refers to that song at a very apropos moment. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do. and so then this is kind of where Sandy's eating problems started. Like, this was like the ground zero of the eating problem, because she was going to eat some chips, or Cheryl was going to eat some potato chips, and Herbie was like, are you sure you want to eat that? You're looking kind of heavy. So boom. Yeah. There you go. And then she sees Herbie. She catches Herbie with Spinderella.
First Spinderella.
So then I love this part too, because if you don't know who Salt-N-Pepa, like if you weren't familiar with Salt-N-Pepa back in the day, they were known for their asymmetrical haircuts. That was like their thing. We then realized that the reason why they had those asymmetrical haircuts is because Cheryl was like perming Sandy's hair, and a bunch of Sandy's hair fell out. So basically she was like, I'll fix your hair for you and I'll cut it, and then I'll cut my hair the same way, and we'll just say it's a look, which is funny. That was so funny.
Yeah.
So then we cut to 1987.
I think we skipped a bunch of stuff, by the way. If we're talking about the hair, we jumped way ahead, Les.
Oh, go back. What did I skip?
There's a lot to cover, but we skipped over. They go to a Crush Groove party. Crush Groove, and which of course I own the cassette of that, the Crush Groove soundtrack. They also get a they go to a record company, Next Records, and they're given $5,000 for another single and a whole $9,000 to make an album.
Yeah,
and they're excited about that. Yeah. It doesn't seem that much like that much to me to make an album, but
it's not. But to them, it was probably a ton of money. And then Herbie deliberately left Sandy out of that meeting. He's trying to cut her out of her share of whatever kind of points they're going to get on this, and is trying to talk Cheryl into taking a bigger cut.
Now, was I imagining things, or was Peppa walking around with a see-through shirt on around this period of the movie?
It was probably there was a thing where they would have mesh and there'd be like a bra underneath it, but like a thicker, heavier bra.
Like Madonna.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Must have been my reception.
Yeah, it's like Madonna back then.
Okay.
So now are we at 1987?
Oh, not yet. And so then they perform a few gigs. So Herbie's got them a few gigs, and they perform at this club, and they run into this skeezy guy named Sweet Tooth, who looks like an extra.
That's right.
Who looks like an extra out of a production of Guys and Dolls, and he takes a photo with him, and he just looks sleazy. And so then they go to show up after they go to another gig, and they're going to go in the door, and the bouncer's like, no, you can't come in. Salt-N-Pepa are here. And they're like, were Salt-N-Pepa. And they find out that Sweet Tooth had some, like, try to get Herbie to manage someone he knows, and Herbie didn't want to do it. So Herbie, to get back at him, hired these girls to be like a fake Salt-N-Pepa and do a show. And so, like, Herbie gets up on stage and he basically ambushes the show. They go chasing after him. They kick the crap out of him. They kick the crap out of Salt. And so basically Herbie, then they regroup, and Herbie's like, all right, I'm bringing on some people closer to our inner circle so we can keep a tighter ship going.
Yeah.
Fun fact, in the documentary, they announced that the fake Salt-N-Pepa were Sandy and Cheryl's daughters.
What?
They played the
the actors, the fake Salt-N-Pepa.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was Sandy and
that would be a twist if their kids went back in time in a time machine and they're like, I hate my mom. I'm going to ruin her life.
My brain operating now? That's a split second. I thought that they had real daughters who were doing that. I don't know. It's 2021.
The actors were their daughters.
We're working on it. Okay, that's cool.
Okay, so now we're at the part where, Spinderella is not happy. Spinderella is being a diva. Spinderella got her ass fired.
Oh.
But Spinderella was replaced by another Spinderella.
A Spinderella, yeah.
This Spinderella.
What's that, Kurt? What did you say?
I didn't know that was such a common name.
Spinderella.
Yeah.
Now, here's another bit of trivia. Salt-N-Pepa were on the Wendy Williams show last week, and we find out, and this is true, that 16-year-old Spinderella came in, they approached Wendy Williams to be Spinderella, and Wendy Williams turned it down because she was on the radio.
Okay.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, Wendy, because Salt-N-Pepa were on the Wendy Williams show, and they talked about it. So
that would have been very different. Can you imagine that Wendy Williams is Spinderella?
Right. Now, I think Wendy Williams ended up making the right choice.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it all turned out the way it was supposed to, but that's kind of crazy, though.
Huh. And then I wrote here, oh my God, I remember the Fat Boys, because they got a gig opening for the Fat Boys.
Yes, I remember that tour. I remember that being a big deal.
This was like a trip to the 90s, this movie.
Yeah, Fat Boys in the 90s. Yeah. Did you ever see the Fat Boys movie? It's called Disorderlies. They're orderlies. They're orderlies for Ralph Bellamy, and I think it was Ralph Bellamy's 100th movie.
Oh my God!
and the villain was Luke from Luke and Laura. Tony
really?
was the villain. Yes.
And I like this movie.
I saw that movie in the theater.
Oh no!
Wow!
I was reluctant to say I liked it. I didn't go that far.
But then, and I love this part, we get a push it montage.
I called it a close-up of boom boxes and radios montage.
That's great.
This movie did love itself a good montage, Les.
I didn't mind any of the montages throughout this movie because it was all to the song. So it's like, oh my God, yay!
Yeah.
So then, so then they're on a tour bus. They're getting interviewed. And then they show them, they're going out, like they're getting ready to go out. Like Sandy is getting ready to go out in the town and have some fun. But Cheryl, being very religious and conservative, was like, nope, I'm staying in. But Spinderella was all ready to go. And they're like, no, Spinderella, you're 16. Keep your ass at home.
Yeah.
And so Sandy...
Maybe that's what happened really in the group. They're not really sure what to do with Spinderella. Sometimes she's like sometimes it's the three of them. Sometimes it's the two of them. And Spinderella's kind of off to the side.
Well, I think if you just look at the group as being formed by Sandy and Cheryl and them being the core of it, you know, that they never really wanted to be the product that Herbie wanted to put out. And then Herbie's the one that's like, oh, we're going to get you this female DJ up there too. So it's like she's sort of an accessory that was forced upon them. And at times they were okay with it. And at times they were kind of like, why do we need her here? That's my take, at least.
Well, and then the fact that Spinderella could easily, you just get another girl up there, and it proved how essential she was to the band, which was not very essential. Like, you know, we'll just get another girl and put her up there.
Yeah. And call her the same name and hope the audience doesn't notice.
Right, exactly.
It's happened.
Oh, so they're out having fun, or Sandy's out having a good time. And Sandy busted Herbie with another woman. And then Herbie basically blackmails her and says this line, which I've got to figure out how to fit this line in somewhere. If you tell her, I'm going to drop you faster than a teenage father.
Wow.
So then Herbie starts being hard on, like in the recording sessions, he starts being very hard on Sandy. Mm-hmm. Like he really is tough on her. And so then and he does the whole thing where he tries to pit Sandy and Cheryl against each other and compare them to each other. And so they're at this recording session. Herbie got a phone call. Cheryl answered it, and it was a woman who was very brazen and was like, oh, is this Cheryl? Well, tell him to change his sheets in the basement. She was calling this to basically...
It was weird because it was like she was trying to get under Cheryl's skin, but in doing so, she was ratting Herbie out.
Right. Yeah.
For cheating with her. It seems like if you just want to rat out Herbie, you just rat him out. You don't need to make Cheryl feel bad about it in the process.
Right. Right.
Yes.
But Cheryl and so Cheryl was hurt, of course, and this basically became like a running theme throughout most of the movie. Mm-hmm. Herbie cheating on Cheryl, Herbie getting caught, Herbie basically not giving a shit.
Yeah.
So then we get another montage, and then they're in a concert they're in a what would you call it? Kind of like a packaged concert. It was them, Heavy D and the Boys.
Well, they were all openers for the Fat Boys. It was probably one of those MTV tours where they would have a bunch of artists that had one or two hits, and then they would put them all together.
So it was them, Heavy D, and MC Hammer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Hammer.
Which would have been a fun concert, actually.
And the Fat Boys and Kid and Play, too.
Right. Now, this is what I thought. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Neil Sedaka.
Yeah,
it was a full lineup.
Well, I just thought it was funny because this is a part where MC Hammer's brother is giving Sandy financial advice.
Yeah, I thought that was funny too.
Brother, yeah.
Because if you're not familiar with MC Hammer, MC Hammer ended up just losing all of it.
Yeah, he made an obscene amount of money, and then went crazy and way overboard on his home and things like that, and just lost it all. Double-digit millions. Yeah.
Yeah. But then the good thing about this, even though apparently his brother wasn't good at keeping him under control, but his brother did inform Sandy and Sandy that they were getting ripped off. Mm-hmm. Because, Jason, do you know how the point system works?
Yeah. So points is just a percentage or a percentage of pure profit off the album. So let's say an album cost $10 to buy. part of that goes back to the label to cover the production costs and not just the studio time and the marketing, but also the physical like producing of the vinyl and putting it in the cardboard and shipping it to the store. So they take all that off the top, and then whatever's left, and it's a small amount, is split between the label and the artist and the songwriter and all that. So artists generally make about 6% of the profit that's available.
So that's the 6 points.
6 points,
then.
yeah.
Because he points out to Sandy, because Sandy's like, oh, we get, so Cheryl and I get 3 points apiece. And he's like, no, you should be getting 6 points, each one of you. And you need to like change this. So Sandy was smart. So the brother was like, you need to go and you need to tell Herbie that you want 6 points. And so Sandy asked the brother, okay, so tell me exactly what I need to say, which I thought was very smart of her.
Yeah, very smart.
So you need to say,
and
I'm gonna turn this mother out.
Yes. You go tell them that you are too legit to quit. And for those listening at home, I just did the hand motions on the camera here for Curtain Less. Too legit to quit.
Too legit to quit.
Too legit to quit.
Please, Hammer, don't hurt him.
And so Herbie kind of scoots out early, and this is when was it Sandy that told Cheryl, like, you need to start writing your own songs, because when you write your own songs, you keep the publishing and make all the money, and that's how you make your money.
Mm-hmm. That's right. That guy who played Herbie had a Kevin Hart thing going too. His voice kind of sounded like.
Oh yeah, I guess a little bit. I thought the actress that played Sandy looked like a cross between Tyra Banks and Kelly Rowland.
Oh, I can see that. See that.
Both of them are really hot, but one was like kind of like, yeah, they played the roles good, because one was like a church going hot, and the other was like a party going hot, and that's exactly what they were supposed to be. So it worked. So they were counseled to, hey, you need to start writing your own songs because that's how you're going to make money. And then they decided that they wanted to write like female empowerment songs. Mm-hmm. Which ended up being like their thing. That's their thing. Yeah. And so then, of course, they have money now. So Sandy brought a new car. She didn't have the car with the hole in the bottom anymore. She had a sports car. And so Sandy like went out a lot. Sandy partied hard. Mm-hmm. So Sandy's in this bar. This guy comes in and he's like, drinks for everybody. And he hits on Sandy. And then it was the guy's name Tata.
I didn't get his name. He wasn't in the movie that long.
I think his name was Tata.
I don't know. He was cool about it.
And then they established that Sandy loved to drag race people in her new car.
Yeah.
Yeah, she liked it.
So then Cheryl was like in the studio by herself, and this is like she started kind of picking up on how to produce. She'd been watching Herbie, and so she produced something, and she actually realized she discovered that she was actually good at it.
He bailed on the session, and the engineer, fake Casey Affleck, and the brother JP, who's like a friend of Herbie's or whatever, that was like managing their tour and stuff like that. He basically says, like, you got to do this on your own. Do the kind of songs that you want to do. And like, you know what you're doing. You've been doing this for 4 years now.
And she did it. And she did it well, because that turned out to be their first single, and the record execs loved it.
Yeah. Express Yourself, right?
Yeah.
Express yourself.
So then Sandy is like, so Cheryl's walking, and this guy, Gavin, who was, I guess, at the session, was walking with her. And you could tell he kind of liked her, but she was loyal to Herbie.
Cheryl set them up.
Home.
I mean, Sandy set them up.
Oh, okay.
Sandy set Cheryl and Gavin up because she thought that maybe things were ending with Herbie.
Right. So we could tell that Cheryl liked Gavin, but she was kind of holding out hope as well.
Yeah.
So then we see Sandy, and Sandy's having a good time with Tata.
There's a getting it on montage.
Yes.
Yeah. It was filmed like a video, too.
All.
It looked like a music video the way they were shooting the sex scene.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. And, well, and something happened because of that video. Sandy found out that she was pregnant.
Yeah.
And Tata said bye-bye because
Yeah.
he was not happy about it.
Right.
So then it's 1990. And they've become more savvy because they're like, you know what? We want to renegotiate our deals. And they got to the point with Herbie. It was Herbie, right? Where they're like, if you don't do this, we're just going to go find somebody else. And we have hit records now. So if you don't do this, we'll go out and we'll find someone else to manage us and we'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have here Eddie O. Who was Eddie O?
He was the guy from the label. He was the record label guy that signed them.
So then
They call him to renegotiate the deal, basically.
Okay. I just had Eddie O in my notes. So then there's a woman. She has a little baby. Cheryl sees a little baby. Cheryl's like, oh, what a cute baby. And then Herbie comes out and says, oh, Cheryl, gotta tell you something. That's my baby. And this was a little baby. So he had this baby behind Cheryl's back while they were dating.
Well, and this is and they're still dating at this point. And this is at Herbie's house. Like, Cheryl showed up there, and the baby mama and the baby are there. And Cheryl's like, oh, wait, what's going on here?
This baby was like under a year old.
Yeah.
Then Cheryl's like, okay, we're done. I'm done with this. And then Cheryl, then we see her bulimia kick in. Sandy calls Cheryl. Sandy's in labor. We find out that Tata did not show up for the birth. And so then Cheryl is actually becoming very empowered and learning more about the business. So not so dependent on Herbie anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And then we find out that Cheryl started dating Gavin. She started dating Gavin. Then the song "Let's Talk About Sex" comes out. Baby. It's a hit. We see them on MTV Spring Break.
Oh, we also find out at this point because they're there, and we find out that Cheryl's pregnant too.
Right. And so,
could they have an actor to play Tom Green in the MTV Spring Break scene?
That's funny. That would be funny. Okay. So then they're at the spring break thing. Sandy's little kid at this point is like a toddler. Like what is he, like 4? Like 3, 4?
Oh, I didn't even think that old.
So he walks, so like she turns her head for a second, and like babies do, he like walked away. And so she couldn't find him, and then she sees him, and this guy's like holding the baby. And he's like, and he was Tretch from OPP. Yeah, you know me.
Yeah, from Naughty by Nature. Yeah.
Right. I was like, oh my God, all these songs that I used to love.
I didn't realize that he was the guy in the video.
I didn't either.
Is it Shoop? I think it's
Yeah.
Shoop. He's actually the guy in the video. I was like, oh, I didn't realize that was him. Okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's the same actor? Oh, no, you're talking about the guy from Naughty by Nature.
The Naughty by Nature guy is in the Shoop video. Yeah.
Oh.
Like it's a quick cameo.
Okay.
So they, and then they did this thing, like, I guess the director wanted a cinematic thing to happen because they do this thing where you bungee jump, but Sandy bungee jumped off of this crane, but then bungee jumped into a bed.
Yeah, and it was like a
that's
thing,
creative.
and they sort of started with like, oh, do you want to come on this crazy ride with me or something? And it was like that cinematic moment would have had more impact if that were an overarching theme of the movie of, hey, you want to come on this crazy ride and let's go on this crazy ride together. But it was like it said that one time and then kind of dropped.
Right. So then the next scene, they're on Arsenio Hall.
Yes.
Yeah. They got an actor. Arsenio would have been happy playing himself.
With the guy who looked nothing and sounded nothing like
He
Arsenio
looked
Hall.
more like him than he sounded like him, but yeah, it was not Arsenio. Even the set looked cheap. It looked like they filmed it in a room about the size of my bathroom, and Arsenio's set looked very big and open if you watch the show.
Right. Now, this next part, I kind of felt sorry for Cheryl, and I kind of get it. Because what happens is they're being interviewed. Arsenio is like, oh, wow, you guys are doing so great. You're getting these hits and you and Herbie are together and it's great that you're working together. And Sandy didn't say anything. But I kind of get like being put on the spot and you're kind of like,
Yeah.
you know,
She was
you're on
sideswiped.
TV. Yeah. It was kind of like a sneak attack, and it wasn't even like a calculated bad sneak attack, but she was just kind of thrown off guard.
On one hand, I see what you're saying because it's like it's her business, but on the other hand, like she's doing press while she's visibly pregnant, and if it's not widely known that she's moved on to somebody else, then it's. It makes sense that he would assume one thing and that she should just be comfortable enough to correct him in the moment.
Yeah. In her mind, I guess she was sideswiped. That was the way they were presented.
For sure.
Right. Well, the lesson that she learned is, I guess you better speak up because Gavin was not having this and Gavin dumped her.
Yeah.
Mm.
So now, Herbie, so they're fighting about this album and they're fighting about the songs, and Herbie had a set of songs that he wanted them to do, and Salt-N-Pepa had a set of songs that they wanted to do.
Hello, Les.
Hello?
Oh, there you are.
So someone basically, yeah, you froze for a second.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Oh, you froze now. Hello. Hello, hello.
Less.
Less. Hello, Les.
Will
Les?
get on the album. So,
We you cut off for like a minute there, Les.
so-
Hello? Les,
okay, why don't
Les,
you
stop.
just- and
Les. Les.
Oh, you're still
Then so I have this. Hello,
You were talking.
Hello?
Can you hear me, Les?
hello.
Can you hear us?
Yes.
I feel like there might be a delay because
Yes.
I've been trying to tell you for a minute that we couldn't hear you and you kept
Am
talking.
I frozen?
No, but your
You were.
audio does not even remotely match up with the video. I'm going to end this call. I'm going to start a new one.
Okay.
All right. Let's all hang up, and I'll start a new one.
Okay.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, I can hear you both.
Hello.
So where should we pick up from?
We started talking about fighting over the songs.
Okay. So are we ready?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
So they were like, okay, play all the songs
Hello?
with their songs. We'll win.
Yeah. We half and half. One of the hardest notes on. There's
Yeah,
so much means in this movie.
because there was no blood and guts.
All right, here we are.
Okay. Sorry about that. It cut out right as soon as you started talking again.
Okay. So they were basically fighting with Herbie about the album. And because they had their songs that they wanted, Herbie had his songs that he wanted. So someone brought up, hey, why don't we do this? Why don't we play all the songs and then the best songs will end up on the album? And so Salt-N-Pepa had the better songs. And so their songs ended up on the album. And so I was laughing at this next part because Sandy called Cheryl. Cheryl was at church. Cheryl's cell phone.
Fucking connection. Les, can you? I don't know what you said. You cut out again. I don't know what is up with this connection today. You guys are both frozen again.
Is he frozen?
Thing. Hello.
Because now you're frozen.
I'm here.
Oh, you're back.
Yeah. I don't know what's up with the connection today. It's fucking terrible. Oh, that's what it is. Hold on one second. Hello? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you were saying this next part made you laugh.
Oh, okay. So this next part made me laugh because Sandy calls Cheryl and Cheryl whips out her cell phone and the cell phone was like the size of a brick. And I totally forgot that phones were that big. And so Sandy called Cheryl with an idea. Oh, Sandy's having a party when she calls Cheryl. And so basically, Sandy's idea was about a song. Tretch sees Sandy make this phone call, and Tretch gets jealous because he thinks that she's calling another guy. Yeah. Because she goes in a room for privacy so she can hear. And he thinks she's calling some other guy, which was not true. Yeah. And also, I was laughing because Cheryl was in church as she's having this conversation, and this guy like bumps into her and walks by, and I'm like, hey, that guy looks like Mario Van Peebles.
It is.
And it turned out it was Mario Van Peebles.
Right, gave himself a role.
Right? He gave himself a couple of roles because he was in it again.
Well, he was the pastor of the church.
No.
Yeah.
It was one role. He just was in more than one scene.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Duh. Okay, that's right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Mario Van Peebles has aged very well.
Oh yeah, he looks great.
Yeah.
By the way, we missed my favorite. We skipped over my favorite moment of this entire movie.
Oh, go.
When
What is it?
Cheryl gave birth, and as she's giving birth, I don't know if it was her sister or who it was, goes, push it real good. You know that whoever wrote the teleplay for this movie was like really proud of that one, and I applaud it.
I would say that too, bro. If I was your sister in that situation,
Yeah.
you're just waiting for an opportunity.
Oh yeah, this is the only time in her life she can make that joke and have it really land.
Right. The funny thing about that song still holds up.
Oh yeah, you could
Good,
still
man.
push it real good.
Ooh, baby, a baby.
See?
So it turns out, so Tretch gets really jealous because Sandy's on the phone, and they kind of allude to the fact that there was spousal abuse going on.
Mm-hmm.
But Sandy's idea was a very good idea because her idea was Shoop, which was another one of my favorite Salt-N-Pepa songs. And so, then I wrote here, Sandy and Cheryl both have very cute kids. Their kids were very cute.
Well, I like that they're
so-
they're in the recording booth recording Shoop. They're holding their kids while they're singing it.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's not a kid-friendly song.
No.
Bring your daughter to work day.
Right? Come on, little kids. We're going to sing Shoop.
Shoot, daddy.
So Tretch shows up and he apologizes, which is like the cycle that you go through in abusive relationships. We find out that he had a song with Ghetto Bastard. Now, did you guys know who Ghetto Bastard was?
No.
Because I knew about Old Dirty Bastard, but I never knew about Ghetto Bastard.
Well,
and then this is when they had a Shoop montage.
Yeah, you're excited about that.
Yes. But yes. And then it was not only a Shoop montage, it was my other favorite montage when it's a band movie and it shows them going to different cities.
Oh yeah, I like that too.
I like that you like that.
But then you hear this part where someone's making fun of their weight on the radio.
Yeah. That's not cool.
And then we end up in Russia. So they're in Russia. Cheryl's homesick. Then Cheryl basically has a sit down of sorts with Sandy and was like, look, you need to, Tretch is a problem and you need to handle it because and she was basically, once again, kind of suggesting that there was like spousal abuse going on.
I like
So then-
that. I like that they had this heart to heart, and I agree that Tretch was a problem, but also I agree. I think it's a problem that these two at this point in the movie are major superstars on a world tour, and they have to share a room.
Right.
That's weird.
You picture the Rolling
Right.
Stones go on a tour, and Mick and Keith have to share a room.
Yeah, Hall
Right.
Notes don't share a hotel room.
And then it was funny because then Sandy starts teasing Cheryl about her vibrator in her suitcase. So now this is when Cheryl kind of starts hinting that she's not so happy with being in Salt-N-Pepa anymore. Like she kind of starts hinting like, I'm not really, it's starting to wear on me a bit and it's starting to get old.
Yeah. She asked the big question, what is it all for? Like, what are we doing this for?
Right. So then, they have a little argument because Sandy and Cheryl argued a lot. They were basically like sisters. So they argued a lot. So then this next scene, they're doing a performance for the Essence Awards, which is a big deal. And so the woman running the Essence Awards, Cheryl comes in and says, listen, I talked to the woman who's running this award show, and she wants us to take none of your business out of our set because none of your business at the time, it wouldn't be considered risque now, but at the time in the 90s, it was considered a risque song.
I thought it was kind of odd, though, that they, and I'm sure this actually happened, but it's kind of weird that, like, they were invited to perform at this show. They're already a certain level in their career, and they're there to perform their new single. So why would the award show even be dictating, like, oh, no, you can't do that? That would have been agreed to before they even signed him to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, and so then they were like, screw it, we're doing it anyway. Like, we're singing the song anyway. And so they sang the song anyway, and it did not go over well.
Yeah. Well, didn't Herbie kind of strong arm them into it? Because Cheryl didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was one of these, Cheryl didn't want to do it. Sandy could care less.
Yeah.
I wonder if this, they blamed it on Essence, but I wonder if this is, because it was around the time Cheryl was starting to question, why is she in this group? How's this helping my relationship with God? I wonder if she felt uncomfortable doing that song.
Right. Because the funny thing is, now she's extremely religious. Mm-hmm. She is extremely religious.
Yeah, I saw...
So Jason, that would make sense.
I went to a performance of what was billed as Salt-N-Pepa, but it was really just Peppa, and she was singing to the backing track. So anytime they would get the Salt's lyrics, Peppa would just be there on stage dancing around, and then Peppa would rap live.
Really?
Well, now, was this during, which we'll get to, was this during the lean years?
This is more recent. This is probably after the VH1 thing that kind of frames the movie. Oh. This is probably 2010-ish.
Really?
Okay.
And what kind of venue was this happening?
Oh, like a gay nightclub.
Okay.
Yes, because they always, all these divas, they always end up singing to the gays.
Mm. One of my favorite memes that I've seen since the pandemic, it shows this crying black woman staring at her computer, and it says something to the effect of, it's Deborah Cox filing for unemployment because gay pride was canceled.
That is so true, actually. Because Deborah Cox, who is Deborah Cox is... Oh, dear.
Her big hit is called Nobody's Supposed to Be Here. She's got a great voice. She's immensely talented, but she just never had a massive career. And she just always plays the Pride festivals. I actually saw her in a production of the stage musical based on The Bodyguard. So she played the Whitney Houston role.
That?
It was
you
so
saw
bad.
That?
It was so bad. It was.
Did you see it at the Montages?
It was laughably bad. Yeah, at the Montages.
Oh my God, I don't know anybody. So you're the first person who I knew who I know who saw that, because everybody who I mentioned I want to go I wanted to go and see it were like, no.
I got a friend of mine. Oh, actually, she's been on the show. My friend Nina gave me. She had season tickets. She couldn't go, and so I took her tickets and went with a friend. And like we were excited because I love Whitney. I think the movie's crap, but I love Whitney. And they were doing so. Basically, what they did is they took all of Whitney's catalog and worked it into the show. So she's doing songs that had nothing to do with The Bodyguard.
So it was basically a jukebox.
It was a jukebox musical, which would be fine except for the fact that like they're all songs from one artist, and Deborah Cox, while she may be talented, she's no Whitney Houston. So the entire show you're just reminded of like, yeah, you're not Whitney. And you can't dance. And there were moments where my friend and I were like looking at each other like, oh, I want to laugh out loud, but everyone else seems to be into this legitimately. And we're like, what are we not getting here? It was really bad.
Now, did they sing the songs from the movie too?
They did. Well, just the Whitney ones. They didn't even do the other songs that are on that soundtrack from other artists. And there's a bunch of them. They only did Whitney songs.
Okay, yeah. Oh, that would, yeah. I got the stuff that you want. I got the stuff that you need.
Yeah, that one's in the movie.
Yeah, that movie was pretty bad. I finally saw the movie in its entirety last year on a flight to the UK.
Yeah.
So basically, I had to be trapped on a plane to finally sit down.
That surprises me that you didn't see it back in the day, because like I feel like if you watched it at that time, it was such a big cultural phenomenon that it makes the movie more enjoyable. But if you watch it through a really critical lens, it's like it's not a good movie.
And one of the things about that movie is it should have ended like halfway through. If you do. I'm not going to say why because I don't want to be accused of giving spoilers, but it should have ended earlier than it did.
Elizabeth Shue shows up halfway through the movie.
Yeah.
Right?
But no, I wouldn't defend the movie that ends the earth, but I liked it. I mean, I saw it at the time. You know?
Yeah, watch it with a critical lens
videos.
now.
What's that?
Watch it through a critical lens now.
All right.
I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, and all the gay bars at the time were playing all the videos from the movie. So I basically felt like I saw it because I saw the videos like every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I Will Always Love You was on the radio every 5 minutes back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
So, but that is funny though. Deborah Cox finally. And I love Deborah Cox, but Deborah Cox will perform anywhere at anything.
Yeah. She's like, Eric Roberts can't be there. I'm there. Right?
Seriously. The Eric Roberts of gay bars. That's funny. Cause I even went to an AA convention once, and Deborah Cox was a performer.
Sounds like she hustles.
She's good though. The thing is, she's got a great voice. Okay, so where was I? Oh, okay. So they had just performed at the Essence Awards. Did not go well. Meanwhile, Tretch once again gets mad at Sandy. Then Sandy and Cheryl start talking, and we find out that both of them had daddy issues. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So then Cheryl, remember this? Cheryl got paged by Kevin. Yeah. And I was like, oh, that's right, pagers.
Yeah. I remember.
And so a new label wanted to sign them. Herbie ended up suing them, which I did not know. They won. Mm-hmm. And so Herbie was actually nice about it after he lost the lawsuit.
Yeah.
So this next part, I should have been mad at Sandy, but I wasn't. So Cheryl's at a recording session. She's waiting and waiting and waiting, and Sandy didn't show up. And Cheryl got so pissed that she got in the car and she drove over to Sandy. Because she called Sandy, and Sandy's like, I'm sick. When there's like a whole party.
Well, like she shouts, like some guy answered the phone. She like shouts down, like over the foyer or whatever, like, oh, tell her I'm not here.
And there's like a huge party going on. Yeah. So Cheryl hops in her car. She drives to Sandy's house. And the reason why I can't be mad at Sandy is the party did look really good.
Supposed to be working.
And Sandy's house was fabulous too.
Yeah. But I agree with all that, but also maybe have the party a different night.
Right.
Yeah, that's why you can have parties like that, because you're making the music.
And the funny thing is, when you think about it, I'm sure it was on a weeknight too. Like I'm sure it was like on a Tuesday or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. This was a big shift in the movie. All of a sudden.
Right.
Turmoil between Salt-N-Pepa.
Right. So then Cheryl shows up, and this is the part that made me love Sandy even more, because Cheryl shows up, and Sandy's like running around her party just wearing a bikini.
Yeah, that was good.
So I was like, oh my God, I love her. And then I love Sandy's excuse, because Sandy was like, well, I was tired. I was tired today.
I think you made excuses like that before, Les.
I do like the imagery, though, of Cheryl in this like super bright red power business suit, though, too. I like that.
Yeah. And you can see like the difference in personality.
You know what? Speaking of the costume design, I saw in the opening credits, the last name of the costume designer was Light. I thought, is that a relative of MC Light?
Oh.
Or of Judith?
Judith Light.
Oh, Judith Light.
Oh, was it L-I-T-E?
No,
it was spelled L-I-T-E?
It was with the Y, like MC Light.
Oh, maybe it was. Yeah.
Maybe it was. Maybe MC Light's cousin, Crystal Light.
I
forget the first name.
Oh, okay. So then they had a fight. Sandy and Cheryl had a huge fight. Then Sandy had a fight with Tretch. Like Sandy was fighting with everybody that night. And then she fought with Tretch. Then Cheryl goes home and she has another bulimic incident. So we cut to 1999. Things are not going well.
Nope.
They signed with this new record label, but the record label tanked. They're now at the part of any autobiography or biopic where the person who was once famous is now playing like shitty venues. And the tour manager was just this gross, disgusting looking guy. And it looked like they were playing in like banquet halls, but not even good banquet halls.
Yeah, it's like they almost met this guy not at his office, but he like, you know, they met it so like after some business seminar, and he's like, "Oh, you know, I'm going to this seminar. Just meet me afterwards, and we'll talk."
But here's the question, though, Jason. Wouldn't they still be making a decent amount of money because they had the publishing to all the songs that they wrote? And the songs that they wrote were popular.
It depends on how often they're getting played other places, because you're only getting, you know, royalties if those songs are still getting airplay. And at that point in time, there wasn't as big of a nostalgia music market as I think there is now, just because there's been more years of music over time, and there's more outlets like streaming and whatnot. And the bookkeeping's a little more transparent than it used to be.
Right.
Yeah, I heard an interview with woman for the Go-Go's, Jane. Her name was
Jane Whelan.
Jane Whelan.
Yeah, she wrote one of their big hits. I think it was Vacation. Like Vacation. And so she makes an income every year. It depends how many commercials use it or how many movies will use it.
I mean, that's why Mariah is really all in on All I Want for Christmas Is You, because she owns that song and it plays incessantly over the holidays. Like, she can make a comfortable living just off of that song.
Yeah, I think because I heard somewhere Mariah Carey, honestly, because of that song, does not have to work a day again in her life.
Yeah.
This is the obligatory scene in a biopic or when the group is going through their lean years. So they're playing these small clubs when earlier it showed them like filling up arenas and stuff. Sandy got married.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they're performing and Cheryl starts getting ill. Like she faints on stage, basically.
While she's pregnant again.
And so, yeah, she's pregnant and she faints. And they're on their tour bus and Sandy starts freaking out and saying, Cheryl, I just had a dream that someone's going to die. So then we see Sandy, she's at the doctor. Her doctor's like, you need to quit your tour because, you're not doing well. You're pregnant. I'm sure at this point she was extremely bulimic. So the doctor's like, no, you need to quit. So then Cheryl's in church and Reverend Mario Van Peebles is giving his sermon. And the sermon was about food, right? Like it was like food.
They used that as sort of the end to start the sermon, but it was a larger theme of like everything we take it, we basically what we put into the world is what we get back.
Right. So it's like this powerful sermon. And Cheryl, you could tell that she's like just going through it. And then we cut to Sandy, because she's still married to Tretch, but that's not going well either. And so then the minister, Reverend Mario Van Peebles, is like, you need to change, and you can take your power back. And so then Sandy had a fight and kicked her husband Tretch out at the same time as Cheryl was listening to the sermon. So then Cheryl calls Sandy, and Sandy, because Cheryl had been telling Sandy for years to dump this guy. So Sandy's like, guess what, Cheryl? And Cheryl's like, wait, I quit. And Sandy was not happy.
And when she's talking to her, she's still in church. She was still sitting in church, I guess, like an hour after.
In the pew. Yeah.
They paid for that set, Kurt. They're using it.
So
extra money.
Sandy was very upset, and then Sandy was like, "Well, that means that the premonition I had was about our friendship. It's dead." And she hangs up, and then whose voice do we hear? Wendy Williams.
Mm-hmm. But not spinning it up one time. She was stirring it up.
Yeah.
Right? It's so funny to think that Wendy Williams used to be very mean. Because, now she's daytime talk show. She was very mean.
Well, that was her radio persona because Wendy, if for those that don't know, before she had a TV show, was a long-running radio personality in New York, and then I think nationally syndicated at one point. And that was
she
her
was here at one point.
Yeah, her brand was very not bitchy, I wouldn't use that word, but she was dishy to the point of it being a little bit nasty.
Yeah, like because she was here for she was here and then got her TV show.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So basically, this was like 1999 when this was all or early 2000s when this is going on. We then cut to 2005, and they had not spoken. We then, I guess, so Cheryl had made, they tried to go out on their own, and it didn't work. So Sandy, she's about to, sign on this huge venue, and then the owner finds out that, it was just going to be her. So he turned her down. And so then they show Sandy. She's very down. She's very depressed. She's getting ready to cut herself because she was a cutter. And right when she was getting ready to cut herself, the phone rings. It's VH1. And so they were being honored at the Hip Hop Honors. And then it goes, so basically this was one big, huge flashback. So then they're current, and Queen Latifah, announces them. They go on stage. They kill it. They're excellent. And they're now back together.
Yep.
And touring the world. And they're friends.
They did a Vegas residency at the end of 2019.
Yeah.
With Spinderella.
So now they're touring.
Not right now.
And and then afterward was the documentary, which was very interesting just because they were basically going through the movie saying, yeah, that happened. Yeah, that happened.
Yeah, montage of their own movie.
It does seem kind of funny to show a documentary after a biopic, which presumably should have gotten the facts largely right.
Right, exactly.
When I watched it, they had little interviews with real Salt-N-Pepa throughout. They wanted to get it right. And Pepa had wanted to do a movie for a long time. Salt wasn't so sure.
Well, do you guys remember that show years ago called The Surreal Life?
Yeah.
Where they had a bunch of celebrities and they lived in the house.
Yeah.
They lived in a house.
Mm-hmm. I remember it was Corey Feldman and Emmanuel Lewis was there. Hammer, I think, was in there.
They had Flava Flav, and was it Brigitte Nielsen? Is that who he ended up hooking up with?
They met and started their whole TV show thing.
I interviewed Flava Flav in some VH1 press room back when that show was on, because it was for another VH1 awards show, and I interviewed him, and he was wearing a clock, the clock around his neck, and then kept checking the time on one of his two phones, and I pointed it out, and he didn't see the irony in it that I did.
That's funny. And then you had to use his catchphrase, "You know what time it is."
He did not. Boy. That's why he kept looking and not looking at the giant clock around his neck.
Right. And so you answered the question too, because I always wondered if it had batteries or something in the giant clock.
I don't know if it was working. I did find humor in the fact that you're wearing, you of all people should know what time it is right now. Right.
I went to the Waverly Diner in Manhattan in the Village, and out came this entourage of people. Here comes Flavor Flav out. So I walked up and said, "Flavor Flav, I'm such a big fan. I used to listen to your songs all the time." And he pulled his pinky. So I shook his pinky, and he's like, "God bless you, man."
Oh, his pinky.
Yeah, I shook his pinky.
I shook Flava Flav's pinky.
I think he was holding something, so he offered me his pinky.
Oh. So what did you guys think?
I liked it.
Quality. Yeah, I did. I thought it was very good.
I wish it had been trashier, because it would have been more fun to poke at it, but it was really well done.
Yeah. The only thing, I didn't know I felt this way. I really liked it a lot, but the entire time I just felt a little weird because I was like, there's no blood, there's no killing, there's no murder.
They're diversifying. They've got different kind of stuff. This is
but I liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if Lifetime will ever make a biopic movie on us. You know, a Lifetime of Hallmark biopic.
You never know.
It'll start out like 2005, and like we're like Les and I are in Cincinnati meeting at the Fringe, where Les comes up to me at the festival and says, "Hey, don't worry about that bad review you got. That lady doesn't know." I'm like, all right.
Oh, that's right, because of Jackie Demeline.
Yeah, Jackie Demeline. Yeah, you came up to me at the end of the festival. You're like, hey, listen, don't worry.
And we were friends and we've been friends ever since.
Yes.
Wait. Am I the Spinderella in this scenario? Damn it.
Oh, and did you guys hear? Spinderella was not happy about this movie.
No.
And she gave some interview, and Spinderella is kind of bitter.
Which, like, real Spinderella or Spinderella 1?
The real one.
You know what? I think real one.
Okay.
Like, yeah, Spinderella was not happy about this movie, and she was not happy about how she was portrayed. Oh. Which
I feel like she
I
was
didn't think
portrayed
they made
poorly.
her look all that bad.
Oh, no. I read she was happy about the way she was portrayed. She's not happy that she wasn't like a part of it, and she's not happy about her relationship with them. She feels like they kind of like cut her out. But she complimented the actress. She said that she complimented the actress who played her. She just said, I wish that she had access to her so she could help her out.
Yeah.
So I could coach her on being Spinderella.
Yeah.
Apparently I can coach her on that.
Oh, come now.
You're not Spinderella.
Spinderella.
Well, if I'm not Spinderella, then I'm definitely Wendy Williams.
Well, that's good.
That's the documentary I'm looking forward to.
Yeah.
The Wendy Williams one.
Yeah.
And I hope it's
Drama. Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
And then after the Wendy Williams movie, there's a documentary about her, and it's called Wendy Williams, What a Mess.
What a mess. Well, maybe I'll watch that. I will watch it. I'll watch the first one, definitely.
Right. Well, okay. If you want to get a hold of...
Spaced out there, Les.
If you want to get a hold of me, you can find me on my website, leskirkendallbarrett.com. Or you can find me on Facebook at Les Kirkendall Barrett. Shoot. Jason.
You can find us on Instagram at Lifetime of Hallmark Podcast. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Big Shot Jason. Kurt.
And go to kurtfitzpatrick.com. That's Kurt with a K. And on March 6th and March 14th, I will be in my one-man show, Hooray for Speech Therapy 2021 at the Rogue Festival. And I've got details on my website about it.
Oh, and I'm in the show there too. And if you like podcasts, I have a few other podcasts. I have a podcast called The Reality Reading Rainbow, where I read books by reality stars. This week, I'm once again interviewing Ronald Richards, the legal analyst, and he's updating me about the Erica Jane from the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills embezzlement case. And I also have a soap opera podcast called Soap Opera Love in the Afternoon. Anything? Oh, and then of course, please, wherever you're listening to us, give us a 5-star review. We would love that. Anything else?
I think that's it.
I will talk to you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.